Chosen one, I have been preparing something for you quietly, over a long stretch of time. And I want you to understand today that the waiting you have endured was never empty. It was preparation, layer by layer, for a moment that has finally arrived. I need you to listen carefully, because what I am about to say is not meant to simply comfort you in passing. It is meant to genuinely reach you at the exact point in your life where you actually are right now. You did not arrive at this message by pure accident. Something quieter than chance drew your attention here, at this exact point in your life. And I want you to trust that pull rather than dismiss it as nothing. It is not nothing. It is the beginning of something you have needed to hear for longer than you have admitted, even to yourself. I want to speak honestly about what you have been carrying, because I do not think you have let many people see the full size of it. You have smiled through days when something heavier sat underneath. You have shown up for responsibilities while feeling genuinely depleted. You have carried concerns too complicated to explain in a single sentence, and you have done most of it quietly without complaint, because you did not want to become a burden to the people around you. I want you to know that none of that has gone unnoticed. You have not been distant from the eyes that matter, even in your hardest, most tired moments. Difficulty has a way of stripping away everything except the most honest parts of a person. And honesty, even when unpolished and full of doubt, is worth paying attention to. I want to talk today about why certain things in your life have taken longer than you expected, because I do not want you to keep assuming that the length of your waiting means something negative about you or about what is coming. Some things genuinely do require more time to prepare properly than others. Not because you are less deserving, but because what is being prepared is simply more substantial, more foundational, more capable of lasting once it finally arrives. I want you to consider the difference between something built quickly and something built to actually endure. A structure raised in haste often reveals its weaknesses the moment real pressure is applied to it. A structure built patiently, with careful attention to its foundation, tends to hold considerably more weight for considerably longer. I have not been slow with you out of indifference. I have been thorough, because what I am preparing for you is meant to actually last, not simply to arrive quickly and then collapse under its own weight shortly afterward. I want to speak honestly about the specific exhaustion of waiting for something you cannot yet see clearly, because I do not want to minimize how genuinely difficult that waiting has been. There is a particular kind of tiredness that comes from continuing to hope without concrete evidence, from continuing to show up to ordinary responsibilities while carrying an unspoken question about whether anything is actually changing beneath the surface. I want you to know that this tiredness is legitimate. It is not evidence that your faith has been insufficient. It is simply evidence that sustained hope over a long stretch of time is genuinely demanding work. I want to talk now about what has actually been happening beneath the surface of your life during this long, difficult stretch, because I think you deserve to understand it more clearly, rather than simply being told to keep waiting without explanation. You have developed a deeper capacity for patience than you likely had before this season began. You have developed a clearer sense of what actually matters to you, refined through wanting something and not receiving it immediately. You have developed resilience specifically through continuing to function even when circumstances offered very little visible encouragement to do so. I want you to understand that these developments are not separate from whatever comes next in your life. They are the actual foundation that makes receiving and sustaining something genuinely good possible. The version of you standing here right now, shaped by genuine difficulty, is considerably more prepared to receive something significant than you may currently give yourself credit for. I want to talk about the specific opposition that tends to increase right before something meaningful shifts, because I do not want you to mistake resistance for proof that nothing good is coming. Sometimes discouragement grows louder specifically because you are closer to a breakthrough than you realize, and whatever has been working against your progress is making one final push before losing its grip entirely. I am not telling you this so you treat every hard day as evidence of some grand spiritual battle. Ordinary life is genuinely difficult, sometimes in simple human ways that do not require a dramatic explanation. But I want you to hold this possibility gently so that if resistance does show up during a season of real change, you do not automatically assume it proves nothing is happening. I want to speak now about what it actually means for something significant to have finally arrived after a long season of preparation, in a way that goes beyond simply comforting language. There is a real connection between sustained faith combined with sustained effort and the eventual arrival of genuine opportunity, though that connection rarely operates in the immediate, transactional way people sometimes expect. It functions more like patient cultivation, where consistent effort over time creates conditions that eventually allow genuinely significant opportunities to become both visible and accessible to you. I want you to consider that everything you have built through this difficult season was not simply preparing you to endure more difficulty indefinitely. It was preparing you to actually recognize and receive genuine opportunity when it finally arrives, with real capacity rather than exhausted disbelief. A person who has given up entirely on hope often struggles to fully receive good things, even when they finally arrive, because they have trained themselves so thoroughly to expect disappointment that genuine opportunity feels unfamiliar, even slightly unbelievable. I want to talk now about what specifically might begin shifting in the days ahead, because I do not want this message to remain entirely abstract. You may notice gradually a growing sense of clarity about decisions that previously felt confusing or overwhelming. You may notice conversations landing differently than similar conversations have landed before. You may notice opportunities appearing that specifically require the kind of resilience and patience you have already developed through this difficult season. I want you to pay attention to these shifts as they begin appearing, not with anxious scrutiny that examines every small development for proof that everything has changed, but with a kind of quiet readiness that simply notices and receives what arrives, without demanding it conform to a specific dramatic shape. I want to speak about comparison for a moment, because I suspect you have occasionally wondered why other people's circumstances seem to resolve more quickly or more visibly than your own, despite your consistent effort to maintain hope through genuine difficulty. Other people's timelines are not a measure of the value or the eventual outcome of your own sustained hope. What has been quietly building in you does not need to match anyone else's visible progress in order to eventually matter in your own life, in your own time, in a way specifically suited to what you have actually developed through this particular stretch of waiting. I want to speak honestly about the specific loneliness that can accompany maintaining hope when the people around you do not fully understand or share that same commitment to trust through difficulty. There is a particular kind of isolation in continuing to believe when others around you have already moved on to resignation or cynicism about similar circumstances in their own lives. That loneliness is real, and it does not need to be minimized. But this particular season of sustained, sometimes solitary hope is building something in you that will eventually connect you with other people who share that same capacity. I want to talk now about forgiveness, because I suspect it connects to at least part of what has been unsettled in you lately. Forgiveness does not mean pretending something did not hurt you, and it does not mean allowing someone back into your life who has shown no real change or accountability. It simply means loosening the grip that a past wound has over your present peace. You are able to release someone from your resentment without necessarily releasing them back into your daily life. Those are genuinely two separate decisions, and you are allowed to make one without automatically making the other. If there is a specific situation you have been quietly holding on to, even a low simmering resentment you rarely mention out loud, consider setting down a portion of that weight today. not because the original situation was fair, but because that resentment has likely been costing you more over time than it has been costing anyone else. I want to speak about the version of yourself that existed before certain hard seasons changed you. Because I suspect there are days you quietly miss that earlier version. The one who trusted more easily, who worried less about being hurt again, who had not yet learned to brace for disappointment before it even arrived. You are not required to return to exactly who you were before, as though everything you have lived through since then was simply damage that needs undoing. Some of what you have become through hardship is genuinely more solid than what existed before it, even if it does not always feel that way in quieter, more vulnerable moments. I want to address the fear of hoping again after being disappointed too many times, because that fear makes complete sense given everything you have walked through. Hope that has been crushed repeatedly starts to feel dangerous, almost reckless. But protecting yourself from hope entirely does not actually protect you from anything real. A life lived without any hope at all is not actually safer. It is simply smaller. I am not asking you to hope recklessly, ignoring genuine warning signs or real patterns from your past. I am asking you to leave a small amount of room for the possibility that not everything you hoped for is destined to be disappointed the way some of your past hopes were. Some of what you are hoping for now is genuinely going to arrive, and I would rather you notice it clearly when it does, than have trained yourself so thoroughly against hope that you cannot recognize a real answer even standing directly in front of you. I want to speak now about what it means to actually trust a process you cannot fully see the end of yet. Trust like that is difficult, especially for someone who has learned through hard experience that things do not always work out the way they were hoped to. I am not asking for blind trust that ignores reality or refuses to acknowledge genuine difficulty. I am asking for a steadier kind of trust, one that can hold both truths at once, that things are genuinely hard right now, and that something meaningful is still unfolding underneath the difficulty, even before it becomes fully visible. I want to talk about patience for a moment. Not as passive waiting, but as an active, ongoing choice to keep paying honest attention even when clarity is not immediately available. Real patience involves continued honest attention alongside continued waiting, and it deserves genuine respect rather than being dismissed as simply doing nothing while time passes. I want to speak about identity for a moment, because I think a great deal of what has weighed on you connects back to quiet uncertainty about who you actually are underneath your circumstances, your responsibilities, your daily routine. Circumstances shift constantly, but the core of who you actually are has remained steady beneath all of it. Even during the seasons that felt most exhausting, I want to speak about community as well, because I think isolation has likely made this season feel heavier than it needed to feel. Even a small amount of genuine connection, a single honest conversation, can meaningfully lighten a burden that feels unbearable when carried entirely alone. If you have been isolating yourself, consider reaching toward at least one person you trust in the coming days. I want to talk now about gratitude, not as an obligation, but as something genuinely useful moving forward. Gratitude tends to widen a person's capacity to notice good things as they actually arrive, rather than remaining so fixated on what has not yet happened that the things which have already begun shifting go unnoticed. I want to invite you to notice, honestly, whatever small good things are actually present in your life right now, even amid everything that remains difficult. I want to speak plainly about self-compassion as well, because I suspect you have been considerably harder on yourself throughout this long season than you would ever be towards someone else, demonstrating the exact same sustained hope under the exact same pressure. If someone else had walked through everything you have walked through, you would likely admire them without hesitation. I want you to consider extending that same admiration toward yourself, rather than continuing to minimize what your own sustained hope has actually required and accomplished. I want to talk about rest now, because I think you have likely postponed it more than you should have, believing that maintaining hope meant never fully acknowledging how tired the process of sustaining it has actually made you. Rest is not a betrayal of the hope you have built. It is what allows that hope to continue sustainably, rather than eventually collapsing under its own accumulated weight. I want you to give yourself permission to actually rest, not as a reward you have to earn through more sustained belief, but simply as a necessary part of continuing to be who you have already shown yourself capable of being. I want to speak now about what this particular season of preparation has actually been building in you, in more concrete terms, because I do not want this to remain only encouragement without substance. Consider the specific ways you have grown more patient over this stretch of time, more willing to sit with uncertainty without immediately needing it resolved. Consider the specific ways your priorities have clarified, how you have become more discerning about what actually deserves your energy and attention. Consider the specific ways you have grown steadier under pressure, less easily thrown off balance by circumstances that would have overwhelmed an earlier version of yourself. These are not abstract spiritual concepts. They are practical capacities built specifically through the difficulty of this season. And they are exactly the kind of capacities that make a person genuinely ready to receive and sustain something significant, rather than being overwhelmed or destabilized by it the way an unprepared person might be. I want to talk about what practical steps might genuinely help you as this season of preparation begins giving way to something new. First, continue extending yourself the same patience you would extend to someone else in your exact circumstances. Second, allow yourself to actually notice and receive good developments when they arrive, rather than immediately searching for reasons to doubt them or brace against their eventual disappearance. Third, continue extending grace to yourself during moments you inevitably still doubt or struggle, even as circumstances begin to improve. Fourth, remain patient with the pace at which the fuller resolution of this season actually unfolds. I want to speak now about the specific fear that even if something good arrives, it might not last. That circumstances could shift back into difficulty and everything you have quietly built through sustained hope might feel undone by a future hard stretch. Hope built through genuine, repeated testing over time is considerably more durable than hope that has never actually been challenged. What you have built through this difficult season tends to hold steady through future difficulty as well, precisely because it was forged through real uncertainty rather than simply assumed without ever being tested. I want to talk about humility for a moment, because it deserves careful attention as you move forward. Genuine humility is not the same as refusing to acknowledge that your sustained hope mattered. It is possible to recognize honestly that your continued trust has been significant while still remaining grounded, still remaining grateful rather than entitled about whatever confirmation arrives. I want to close this reflection with one final, honest thought before moving toward some practical closing guidance. Everything shared here rests on a truth that was true long before this message reached you and will remain true long after you finish reading it. You are someone who has consistently chosen to hope when giving up would have been fully understandable. That choice, sustained across a genuinely difficult season, has built something real in you, something that was never actually dependent on immediate confirmation in order to matter. Carry that truth gently into whatever comes next. You do not need to chase confirmation or force it to arrive faster than it naturally will. You simply need to continue being who you have already consistently, faithfully chosen to be, trusting that whatever is already beginning to unfold will continue to reveal itself clearly in its own time, exactly as it has already begun to do. I want to talk more specifically now about what a genuinely significant arrival actually tends to look like in practice, because concrete detail can be more useful than abstract reassurance alone. It often begins with small moments of unexpected relief scattered through otherwise ordinary days. A conversation that goes better than expected. A task that feels slightly less overwhelming than similar tasks have felt recently. A moment where you notice you actually laughed without forcing it. These moments do not usually announce themselves as the beginning of something significant. They simply arrive quietly, and only in hindsight does their pattern become clear. I want you to hold space for the possibility that some of those small moments may have already begun appearing in your life, even if you have not yet connected them together into a larger, more hopeful pattern. Sometimes a person is in the middle of genuine change without fully recognizing it, because they are still bracing so heavily against the possibility of further difficulty that they have not yet allowed themselves to notice the shift already underway. I want to speak honestly about the specific exhaustion of constant bracing, the habit of expecting the worst before anything even happens, simply so the eventual letdown will not hit as hard if it comes. You have probably built some version of that habit over the course of this difficult season, and I understand exactly why. It made sense as a way to survive repeated disappointment. But I want you to notice something about that habit now, as circumstances potentially begin to shift. The very bracing that once protected you can also quietly block you from noticing good things when they finally arrive, because you have trained yourself to expect disappointment as the default outcome. I am not asking you to abandon wisdom or to trust recklessly. Discernment still matters, and I am not suggesting you ignore real warning signs simply because you want to feel hopeful. What I am asking is that you loosen your grip just slightly on the assumption that things will always go wrong, enough to actually notice when something goes right. I want to talk about the small acts of kindness you have shown other people, even during your hardest moments in this season, because I do not think you have given yourself enough credit for them. There were moments you reached out to someone else, even while you yourself were struggling. There were times you offered encouragement to a friend when you barely had enough encouragement left for yourself. None of that went unnoticed. It takes a particular kind of strength to keep giving while running on empty, and that strength has been recorded, not forgotten. I want to talk about what it looks like to actually receive good things after a long season of scarcity or struggle, because receiving is sometimes harder than it sounds. After enough difficulty, some people develop an almost automatic discomfort with good things, a suspicion that if something feels too good, it must be about to be taken away. If any part of that discomfort resonates with you, you are allowed to receive good things without immediately bracing for them to be taken from you. Receiving well is its own kind of practice, and if it feels unfamiliar right now, that unfamiliarity does not mean something is wrong with you. I want to talk about legacy for a moment because I think you have likely underestimated how far the effects of your perseverance actually reach. When you choose to keep trying rather than give up completely, when you choose forgiveness rather than carry resentment indefinitely, that choice does not only affect you, it quietly shapes the people around you. Sometimes people you are not even thinking about in the moment you make the choice. I want to speak honestly about the fact that some of what you are hoping will change may take longer than you would prefer. Even within this new season I am describing, not everything shifts instantly simply because a difficult chapter has closed. Some things unfold gradually, in stages, requiring patience even after the hardest part of the waiting has technically ended. What I am promising is direction, not necessarily speed. I want to say something about the specific temptation to give up right before things actually turn a corner. Because that particular moment, right before a shift becomes visible, is often the hardest one to endure. It is the point where you have already invested so much patience and effort that continuing feels almost unbearable. and yet you cannot yet see any concrete evidence that the effort is about to pay off. If you are in that exact moment right now, the temptation to quit does not mean you have misjudged the situation. It often simply means you are closer than the discouragement in front of you would suggest. I want to close this message the way I began it, by reminding you, chosen one, that none of what you read here was accidental. Whatever season you have been walking through, however long it lasted, however heavy it felt, it is genuinely shifting now. Not because circumstances have magically resolved themselves overnight, but because something in you has been quietly strengthened through everything you endured, and that strength is exactly what the next chapter of your life is going to require. You do not need to have every answer today. You only need to take the next honest step in front of you, whatever small or large thing that happens to be, and trust that the step after that will become visible once you have moved. That has always been enough, even during the hardest seasons, even when it did not feel like enough at the time. It is enough today as well. Take a breath. Let your shoulders drop just slightly from wherever they have been holding tension without you fully noticing. You have made it through every single day up to this one without exception. Even the days you were certain you could not. That track record means something. Carry it with you gently into whatever comes next. One honest step at a time, for as long as it takes to feel solid beneath your feet again. I want to speak a little more, because I do not think one closing thought is enough to carry everything you need for the road ahead. I want to talk about the specific weight of carrying something quietly for a long time, without anyone around you fully understanding its size. There is a particular kind of loneliness in that. One that has nothing to do with being physically alone, and everything to do with feeling unseen, even while surrounded by people who genuinely care about you. You have likely smiled through conversations while carrying something heavier underneath, not out of dishonesty, but because explaining the full depth of it felt exhausting, or because you were not sure anyone would actually understand, even if you tried. I want you to know that being misunderstood by people who love you does not mean you have been truly alone in what you carried. It simply means human understanding has limits, even within good and caring relationships. Every version of your story that never found the right words, every feeling too complicated to explain in a normal conversation, none of it went unnoticed. It was known fully, even in the moments you felt most invisible to everyone around you. I want to speak now about the small, quiet acts of resilience you have shown that likely went completely unrecognized by anyone else. The mornings you got up anyway, even when everything in you wanted to stay under the covers. The responsibilities you kept fulfilling, even while feeling emotionally depleted. The kindness you continued extending to other people, even during weeks when you had very little kindness left over for yourself. None of that was small. It takes real strength to keep functioning while carrying real weight, and that strength deserves acknowledgement, even if you have rarely given it to yourself. I want to talk honestly about anger as well, because I think some of what you have carried was not only grief or fear, but genuine anger. At situations that felt unfair, at people who let you down, at a version of your life that did not unfold the way you once expected it to. Anger is not automatically wrong or unfaithful. It is often simply evidence that something mattered deeply to you, that a real hope was genuinely disappointed. I am not asking you to suppress that anger or pretend it does not exist. I am asking you to let it exist honestly, without letting it become the permanent lens through which you view everything ahead of you. I want to talk about the version of yourself that existed before certain hard seasons changed you, because I know there are days you quietly miss that earlier version. The one who trusted more easily, who laughed more freely, who had not yet learned to brace for disappointment before it arrived. I want to offer you a different way of thinking about that earlier self. You are not required to return to exactly who you were before, as though everything you have lived through since then was simply damage to undo. Some of what you have become through hardship is actually more solid than what existed before it, even if it does not always feel that way. I want to speak now about what it means to actually trust a process you cannot fully see the end of yet once more, because it deserves repeated emphasis rather than being said only once and left behind. Trust like that is built slowly through small moments of choosing to keep going, even without complete certainty, rather than through one dramatic decision made once and never revisited again. Every time you choose to keep showing up despite uncertainty, that trust becomes a little sturdier, a little more able to hold you steady the next time doubt returns, as it likely will at some point along the way. I want to talk about patience once more as well, not as passive waiting, but as an active, ongoing choice to keep moving forward, even when results are not immediately visible. Patience is often misunderstood as simply enduring without complaint, but real patience involves continued effort alongside continued waiting. It means still showing up, still trying, still taking small steps forward, even while the larger outcome remains unclear. I want to speak honestly about setbacks once more, because I do not want to suggest that once real change begins, everything moves forward smoothly, without any further difficulty. Setbacks are a normal part of almost every meaningful process of growth, not evidence that the growth itself was never real to begin with. If you experience a setback during this season, even after genuinely believing something had shifted, resist the urge to interpret that setback as proof that nothing actually changed. Growth is rarely a straight upward line. I want to talk about identity once more, because I think a great deal of what has weighed on you connects back to quiet uncertainty about who you actually are underneath your circumstances, your job, your relationships, your daily responsibilities. It is easy to let external circumstances define your sense of self, especially during long seasons of struggle, when it can feel like your entire identity has narrowed down to simply surviving whatever is currently in front of you. Circumstances shift constantly, but the core of who you actually are has remained steady underneath all of it, even during the seasons that felt most destabilizing. I want to speak about community once more as well, because I think isolation has likely made everything feel heavier than it needed to feel. Even a small amount of genuine connection, a single honest conversation, a single relationship where you do not have to perform constant strength, can meaningfully lighten a burden that feels unbearable when carried entirely alone. If you have been isolating yourself, even unintentionally, during this difficult season, consider reaching toward at least one person you trust, even in a small way. I want to close this extended reflection by speaking directly, one final time, to whatever specific fear or doubt is loudest in you right now. In this exact moment, as you finish reading, whatever that particular fear is, it does not have final authority over what actually happens next in your life. Fear is loud, and it often feels urgent and convincing. But it is not always accurate, and it is not always predictive of what will genuinely unfold. You are allowed to feel that fear honestly while still choosing to take the next step forward despite it. So take one more slow breath before you close this message and move forward into whatever comes next in your day. You have carried enough for long enough. Something lighter is genuinely allowed to begin now. Even quietly, even gradually, even before you can fully explain everything that has shifted inside you. Something has changed, and you are allowed to let yourself believe that one honest step at a time, for as long as it takes to feel solid beneath your feet again. There is one final thread I want to leave with you. Chosen one, because I think it ties everything else together in a way that might make the whole message easier to carry once you step away from it. Everything shared here rests on one simple assumption, that you are worth this much attention, this much care, this much patience extended toward your own preparation and growth. You are not required to prove your worth through performance in order to deserve rest or good things arriving in your life. Worth is not a reward given out for flawless behavior. It exists underneath performance entirely, present even during your least productive, least impressive seasons. I want to leave you with a simple, honest picture to hold on to in the days ahead. Picture yourself a year from now, looking back at this exact season, remembering the specific stretch of preparation you have already walked through. Imagine that future version of yourself being able to say, honestly, that something did shift after this. Not necessarily instantly, not necessarily dramatically, but genuinely, over time, through a series of small, deliberate choices that gradually built into something solid. That future is not guaranteed simply by reading these words once and moving on immediately. It requires continued, ordinary effort from you, day after day, in ways that will rarely feel significant in the moment they happen, but it is genuinely available to you, starting from wherever you currently stand, regardless of how far behind or how stuck you might feel right now. Remember, one final time, that you have already survived every difficult day up to this exact point in your life, without a single exception. That fact alone deserves more credit than you likely give it in your quieter, more discouraged moments. Whatever specific difficulty you are currently facing, you already have direct evidence, built from your own lived experience, that you are capable of enduring hard things and eventually finding your way through them, even when you cannot yet see exactly how that will happen this time. Carry that evidence with you gently as you move forward from this moment. Not as pressure to perform resilience perfectly, but as a quiet, steady reminder available to you whenever doubt returns. You have already built something real. Whatever comes next simply continues to reveal what was already true about you long before circumstances began confirming it more visibly. Let this be the moment you choose to continue being exactly who you have already consistently chosen to be. Gently, honestly, one small step at a time, trusting that the next step will become visible once you have actually taken this one. That has always been enough to keep moving forward, even during your hardest seasons, and it remains enough today as well. I want to add one final thought before this closes completely. Whatever specific thing you have been preparing for, whatever miracle you have been quietly hoping for through this long season, hold it with open hands rather than a tightly closed fist. Genuine preparation does not require you to dictate the exact shape the outcome must take. It simply requires you to remain genuinely open to receiving whatever form that outcome actually arrives in, trusting that what unfolds will ultimately serve you better than the narrower version you may have originally pictured. You have already proven through everything you have walked through that you are capable of preparing without needing every detail explained in advance. Carry that same capacity forward into whatever comes next. Let it be enough, once again, exactly as it has already been enough to bring you this far through everything this season has required of you. Wherever you are reading this, whatever room, whatever moment of your day this happens to be, let it settle into you fully before you move on to whatever comes next. You are not required to feel completely different immediately. You are simply invited to remain a little more aware of what has quietly been building in you, trusting that whatever is unfolding will continue to reveal itself, patiently, one honest day at a time, starting from right now. Chosen one, your time has come. Not because circumstances suddenly aligned by accident, but because you kept showing up through everything that tried to convince you not to. that showing up was never wasted. It was the quiet, ordinary substance of everything that is now beginning to unfold. Carry that truth with you gently, and let it be enough to carry you forward. One honest day at a time, for as long as it takes. I want to speak a little more before I truly let this close, because I think there is real value in staying here a bit longer rather than rushing toward the end. I want to talk about the specific fear that this message, however true it feels right now, might fade quickly once ordinary life resumes its usual pace tomorrow. I understand that fear, because I know how easily encouragement can feel powerful in a quiet moment and then dissolve almost immediately once the noise of daily responsibilities returns. I want you to consider a simple practice that might help this truth actually stay with you rather than slipping away. Consider writing down, even briefly, 1 or 2 specific sentences from what you have read here that genuinely resonated with you. Not the entire message, simply the parts that felt most true to your own situation. Keep that note somewhere. You will actually see it again, not buried in a folder you will forget about, but somewhere visible enough to catch your attention on an ordinary day when you need the reminder most. A truth revisited deliberately tends to stay considerably more present than a truth simply heard once and left behind. I want to talk about what it means to actually live differently because of a season of preparation, rather than simply feeling temporarily inspired by the idea of it. Living differently usually does not look dramatic. It looks like small, repeated choices. Choosing to extend patience in a moment that would have provoked frustration before. Choosing to speak honestly in a conversation you would have previously avoided. Choosing to rest without guilt on a day that would have previously been filled with anxious, unnecessary busyness. These small choices, repeated consistently, are what actually demonstrate that a season of preparation has genuinely changed something in you, rather than simply passing through your awareness without lasting effect. I want to speak now about the specific relationships that this season of preparation may be preparing you to enter more fully, because I do not want you to imagine that everything being prepared is entirely internal. Sometimes what has been building in you is preparing you for a relationship, a partnership, a friendship, a role within a community that requires exactly the capacities you have developed through this difficult stretch. I want you to remain open to the possibility that the miracle being prepared for you may arrive, at least in part, through a person or a connection you have not yet fully anticipated. I want to talk about what it might look like to recognize that kind of connection when it actually arrives, rather than dismissing it because it does not match some more dramatic picture you had originally imagined. Genuine, meaningful connections often begin in fairly ordinary ways. A conversation that goes slightly deeper than expected, a shared interest that opens into something more substantial, a moment of unexpected understanding between 2 people who had not previously known each other well. I want you to hold your expectations loosely enough that you can actually recognize this kind of arrival when it happens, rather than requiring it to look exactly like whatever you had originally pictured. I want to speak plainly about the specific temptation to rush the unfolding of whatever is being prepared, particularly once you begin sensing that something significant is approaching. That temptation makes sense, given how long you have already waited. But I want you to consider that rushing a process that is still unfolding often disrupts it, rather than accelerating it in any genuinely helpful way. Continue doing the next honest thing in front of you, rather than trying to force the entire outcome to arrive all at once before it is genuinely ready. I want to talk about what patience actually looks like at this particular stage. The stage where you sense something is close, but it has not yet fully arrived. This stage is often one of the hardest to navigate well, because the anticipation itself can become its own kind of exhausting tension if it is not held with some measure of calm. I want you to practice gently, holding this anticipation with open hands rather than a clenched, anxious grip. Continue your ordinary responsibilities. Continue your ordinary relationships. Let the anticipation exist alongside your ordinary life, rather than displacing it entirely. I want to speak about the specific gratitude that becomes possible once you genuinely believe that this season of preparation was not wasted, regardless of exactly how or when its outcome finally arrives. That gratitude does not require you to already know the specific form the outcome will take. It simply requires you to trust that the capacities built during this season, the patience, the clarity, the resilience, the compassion, have genuine value in themselves, independent of any specific external confirmation. I want to close this extended reflection with a few final practical thoughts to carry with you into the days ahead. Continue paying attention to the small, quiet signals in your own life, even when they seem too modest to matter. Continue extending genuine patience and compassion toward yourself, particularly during the moments you feel furthest from wherever you are hoping to eventually arrive. Continue allowing yourself real rest, understanding that rest is part of preparation rather than a departure from it. Continue speaking honestly, both to yourself and, where it feels safe, to people who genuinely care about you. And continue trusting that this season, however long it has lasted, and however uncertain it has felt, is genuinely building something real in you. Something that will matter considerably more than you can currently see from where you are standing today. Take one more breath before you close this and move forward into whatever the rest of your day holds. You have already demonstrated, through everything you have already endured, that you are capable of waiting well, even without complete clarity about exactly when or how things will resolve. Carry that capability with you gently into whatever comes next, trusting that it has already been enough to bring you this far, and that it remains enough to carry you the rest of the way as well. Chosen one, hold your head a little higher today, not out of pride, but out of quiet confidence that everything you have endured has not been for nothing. What has been prepared for you is genuinely close now, and you are more ready to receive it than you have ever been before. Walk forward gently, honestly, one step at a time, and let that be enough.